One step at a time, you must keep up the pace. To get up and over this is the path you must embrace.
Hey guys, it's Levi Gates and welcome back to DETALKS. We're changing gears this time. We're going to go into a subject that some of you have talked about, you've probably always wondered about, but today we're actually going to get to the bottom of it. I've got two guys with me today. I've got musician Marcus Eaton. Thanks for coming, Marcus.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, and we've got Jake Bolin of Bolin Guitars, who's
Hello.
a custom guitar builder. So,
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Jake.
Marcus, hello.
Hey, ciao.
So, one thing's great, all of us are Boise guys, we're all local guys, but Jake builds some of the most amazing guitars that you've probably heard. You just didn't know they were his. And you probably listened to Marcus's music and didn't know it was his either. So they're both awesome guys, and we're basically going to talk about themselves and maybe get a little into guitar care and things like that. So Marcus, we'll start with you. Tell me about yourself. Tell us about
Oh
career
man,
and when
let's
you got
see.
started in
Where do I
music.
begin? My dad's a musician. I come from a family of musicians, so that's pretty cool. But I've been playing my whole life, and originally from Idaho.
Yep.
I live in LA now, and I lived in Seattle for a while as well. So that was cool. But I've been, for the past couple of years, I've been working on my own stuff since I started. So I started playing out when I was 9 actually, but I started my first band when I was 16, and I fell in love with music, and I said, this is what I have to do with my life. And anyway, so I did that. I had a band here called Marcus Eaton in the Lobby that was, I guess that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
That was in 2003.
Yep, I used to see you.
Yeah. Anyway, we got signed, and that was pretty cool. We released an album there, but I've done 6 albums of original music, and then about 6 years ago, I started working with David Crosby. We did an album together and worked on that. We worked together for, I guess we worked together for 6 years.
Yeah.
It took us 3 years to finish that album. It was quite the long process, but we finished that up, went on tour together, and did a bunch of really fun stuff. And now here I am. I just released an album last year. It will be coming out here in the US this year. It's called Versions of the Truth. That's my latest album. And then I have a new 5-song EP that I'm working on. So
Nice.
that's the quick and dirty.
And how many days a year are you touring?
Actually, it's actually scaled back since I moved to LA because I've been working on other things. I've been doing a lot of videos, and I've been doing a lot of recording, and my touring has actually moved over to Europe.
Nice.
So I've been playing a lot in Italy and a lot in Germany, but Italy's been kind of like my second home. So I've been touring over there 3 months out of the year,
Nice.
which is amazing. I feel really fortunate to be over there, but it's changed a lot, and I'm sure, he can tell you, but the music business is crazy right now. So I play as much as I possibly can, but you have to kind of go where the energy is flowing.
Yeah.
And for me, that's been over in Europe.
Nice.
So it's been great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It makes
absolutely.
it fun too when you get something different and different culture, different experience.
Yeah, it's kind of a dream come true, really, to be over there.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Jake, you come from a long line.
Yeah, well, we've discussed, I believe I'm a 5th generation woodworker. So my great grandfather, Harvey, used to be a custom window installer back when you would cut them out and you would bring a specialist in to do those. My grandfather was a master carpenter, so he would do everything, but he said concrete forms because it hurt his knees. But he would finish out the house with cabinets and all of the molding, all of the trim. What now is all seems like has its own specialty. He did. And my father started Bolin Guitars in '78. He served a formal apprenticeship in Tennessee, a company that's no longer around, and came back to Boise, started his guitar shop with mostly household tools, up to homemade tea kettle, hypodermic needle, different contraptions to steam necks off of instruments that were already glued on. A lot of the same tools that he created we still use in the shop today. So I grew up around the guitar shop. He had a shop behind our home that I would go back to, check in after school, sweep the floor for candy money and whatnot. And so after high school, I couldn't read a 6-inch rule. A lot of people, I compare it to if your dad was a plumber.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, my dad's a plumber, but I don't go around and fix plumbing with
Right.
him. Well, after high school, I decided that I wanted to serve a formal apprenticeship under my dad. It was both the most challenging and probably most successful thing I've done in a long time, because I swear for about 8 months, all I did was show up in sand.
Yeah.
So kind of like Mr. Miyagi, paint the fence. I couldn't really understand why I had to do what seemed to be the most mundane process of the building experience. However, now that I look back on it, I understand why I was put in a table about this size with a respirator and headphones for 40 hours a week for 6 months straight.
Yeah.
I learned what's probably now the most difficult part of the process, which is finishing it and getting it ready to the next step in the building process. So served a formal apprenticeship under my dad. In 2004, we had a transition in our shop, and I became the head of production. We had some employees come on at that time. We were producing a little bit more in volume. We're an intimate shop. We try to produce 50 to 60 instruments a year. So comparative to some other guitar shops.
And most of these are all custom ordered.
Correct, yeah, so custom one-off orders. That's pretty minuscule on the grand scheme of things. However, it's a blessing and a curse. I work 8 feet away from my dad day in and day out. We have a lot more success nowadays than we have challenges, but with that intimate relationship, there's a dynamic that happens that I think speaks through our product. That we're really grateful people keep coming back, and we're building relationships with musicians and our clientele. We refer to as friends. They become a customer at first, but when you're trying to build someone's dreams and you're in this creative artistic process of give and take and constantly in communication about something that is really hard to put on paper, such as the way something's supposed to sound or feel. It's so individual to that person that we build relationships with a lot of our clientele, and we're fortunate a lot of them are return customers. So I'm grateful that I get to work with my family day in and day out, and I've got a passion for woodworking, and I'm carrying on, I guess, a legacy or a lineage that I wasn't aware of at first, but now I'm happy to be a part of.
Yeah. And then you've got 2 little girls. Are
I do.
You thinking?
They are in the shop quite often. I've got Charlotte. She's 8, so she's a 2nd grader, and Hazel is 6. She's in kindergarten afternoon, so she comes a lot of the mornings, and she's real hands-on. She has a hammer board that she's created on her own. It's custom. She has her own eye protection and ear protection that she wears. She's real adamant about safety. I think that's probably something
awesome.
that I may have drilled that into her. And then Charlotte, she's more of, I would say, our thinker. She really enjoys answering the phone, though. She really enjoys taking real analytical notes. A lot of our callback logs have more information than I necessarily need. Favorite colors is a big one.
That's awesome.
So she's social. So I don't, a lot like my dad didn't force it on me. I don't force it on my children. I always.
But hey, it'll be a job for candy money.
Yeah, for sure. And I encourage them to follow their hearts. Just like my parents were old hippies, or the original hippies, I guess now. And they always told me to do what makes me happy first, and that everything else will kind of fall into place. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Now you guitar tech too.
Yes, I've been fortunate to be a guitar technician for multiple bands. It started when I was younger, in my early 20s, and I started actually as an assistant to sound. So on stage, one of the clients I worked for had on-stage monitors. So I would help run, I would pin the stage, all the kind of semantics that most people show up to the show, pay their money, get their refreshing beverage, adult or non, and go and enjoy it and then leave, you know. And musicians have talked about the beforehand and aftermath, if you will. Well, that's what I did for many years. So as an assistant to sound technician, my responsibilities were to pin the stage, so to make sure all the lines were correct, to mic the stage, and then set up all the mic stands and help with moving the monitors around as per the musician's needs per venue. It all changes. And then at the end of the night, to take everything down methodically, put it away in which it was found, and I loaded the trucks. So, and then I kind of progressed through that to become more of a guitar technician because of obviously my skill set with the guitars. It seemed like an organic relationship that would just kind of happen. And yeah, I've been fortunate to be a guitar tech for some really well-known musicians, guitarists, you know, along the likes of Marcus, you know. Just typically guitar players, though, is my specialty. I know basses, and I've taken care of some basses, but it seems as though, kind of settling into my niche seems strongly based on guitars, but we build basses as well, and we definitely know our way around them, but it's not my first forte, if you will.
Cool. And then do you have a tech that travels with you, or do you do all your own?
Oh, I wish. I wish I had a tech. I have had a tech, but was just for an extrapolated tour. And he was amazing, but he was, you can probably relate to this. I mean, he was teching for 3 people.
Oh my
gosh. That's a really hard job.
And it's an intimate relationship, so
it's really intimate, and it had to be really well orchestrated. He had to know the set lists, because we had multiple tunings going on. And when you have tunings going on, I mean, they really have to know what's going on. I was switching almost every song, but I mean, he did an incredible job with 3 people. I mean, luckily the bass didn't take too much teching. It was just kind of like 2 basses, but the guitars were like, switched out every song, different tunings and stuff, and then I would contribute, of course, because I was like, okay, if I can get this in this tuning faster, while this guy's talking, I can do that on stage, So I just try to do as much as I could on my own, string changes and stuff like that, because, for three people, that's also a lot of string changing. If you're changing every show, it gets ridiculous. So.
Well, and most people don't realize, like you said, they just show up to the show, they get their drinks.
That's right.
I was a roadie for a long time.
The most thankless job.
For
tough.
One of the big concert houses here.
Oh yeah.
And
it's tough.
you don't realize, we're always first in, last out.
Oh man.
The amount of work that goes in, and the care that you have to watch out for when you're moving the cases and everything.
It's amazing.
And the setup and the takedown and all that.
Yeah.
And so to have a person that you can trust and do all that,
or
then
amazing.
to put that onto yourself as well to set up for every show if you don't have somebody.
I mean,
that's a lot of work.
It is. I'm in the position now where it's like, I have one guitar, which is actually a really unique challenge. That's hard to do. It's really hard to do because it's hard to keep the show interesting, with one guitar. But it's a good challenge to have, actually, because there's a lot of people that actually go the other direction. Like, well, I have to have my 12 guitars so I can do a show, and that becomes its own, obviously, unique problem. But the guitar that I have is actually, and we can talk about this too, but this one is actually kind of built in, with a thing in mind, which is climate, because when you're switching climates and you're going like in and out of humidity, you have to have something that's going to be stable. Because that
affects it completely differently as well.
Absolutely. So this is an all mahogany guitar, which you know about.
Yeah, and quite stable. Yeah. Well, and that's the parameters for adjustment on instruments. We're talking about from a unit of measurement, a 1/2 millimeter. So a 1/2 millimeter
it's a huge difference.
Yeah, I was going to say to Marcus's right hand is probably like mountains.
Yes.
If we related it to something else, it would be a lot larger than what's probably measurable. A hair is about 10 thousandths. And a hair, so it'd be about 3 of those. So 3 hairs, but I bet your right hand immediately can feel that.
And the
well, it's muscle memory, and if that is off just a little bit, I mean, in terms of detailing, for guys, we as detailers, our bodies just run on muscle memory.
Exactly.
We work on a car a certain way, and so there can be any differentiation in a tool in a piece of equipment that we're using, or a product, or a humidity or a temperature change can affect all these different things. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. When something gets off and it's just not working right, it can mess everything up.
And it's incredible too, because actually as a guitarist, I mean, you know, with experience, you can tell certain things about an instrument just right away. But the truth of the matter is, you can pick up a guitar that's amazing, and the setup can be wrong, and it can just be like, you know, it can feel terrible. And for somebody that's a little less experienced, they go, "Oh, that's a lame guitar," you know.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's where it gets really interesting. You know?
Yeah, that's saying you don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
So with our instruments, whenever I see them out, you know, the first thing is I go, and they always ask me if I want to plug it in. And no, thank you. No, thank you. And they're like, well, that doesn't make sense to them at the time. But as you kind of, I don't know, as you climb or move laterally within the industry, like Marcus, for example, most likely when you go to a guitar shop, the last thing you're looking for is an amplifier to plug into.
Yeah.
Like, more than not, like there's this resonance that's going to happen, and this ergonomics with this feeling. And so with my instruments, our instruments, you know, it's important to us to have them when they're out in the world to be set up correctly. And fortunately and unfortunately, it's something that can be changed with pretty rudimentary tools: an Allen wrench, a Phillips head screwdriver, you know, a straight. And you can really do a lot of damage to the hardware that's all meant to be adjusted, just like on a car or anything else. However, the right tool in the wrong hands can make really quick work of failures.
I couldn't even imagine.
That's true. So true, especially with electrics.
Yeah.
Acoustics are a little bit, you know, they're a little bit more technical. You know, as far as the adjustment, it takes a little more work, as opposed to taking a Strat and putting a screw on it, and being like, oh yeah, just raise the strings up, you know.
I'm
just
sure.
an inch
Bring
or
them
so.
up a
With
little
acoustics, somebody has to bring out like a hot plate, an iron, and a steamer, and you're like, wait a second, what are you doing? Like, oh, I'm going to remove your bridge because it's the and you're like, whoa, we're not going to remove anything that's glued on. Like, that's there for a reason. You know, there's a few other things, and that's usually a well-known musician or musicians that come in that, you know, I'm sure Marcus can tech a lot of his own gear. He probably knows how to make the adjustments needed. But in the same, that's good, because when he comes into a repair facility, because we do repairs as well, if you have a repairman that's saying, oh, well, we're just going to take your yoke and we're going to take off the tuny things and then pull out the first 3 metal bits that you put your fingers on, you're like, you haven't said anything that I'm even closely relating to. Like, no, that's not a yoke, it's a headstock. Those are tuning machines or gears. Oh, you're talking about my fingerboard or the frets. Like, please hand me back my instrument. No, thank you, you know? But a lot of people are, you know, just like there's shade tree mechanics or detailers, there's a lot of shade tree guitar technicians and repair facilities, and they're doing their best with what they've been trained with, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best for your instrument or even for the application.
So do your research.
That's what Yelp reviews are for, right? I believe.
Well, cool, guys. Thanks for being on this episode.
And thanks for having us.
If you guys want to learn any more, you can check out Jake Bolin at bolinguitars.com, and you can listen to Marcus Eaton and his music at marcuseaton.com. You can check out his new album coming out. And stay tuned for more episodes of Detox right here on the Rag Company YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.